The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of salt. So get ready, nerds, because we're talking semi-horny sci-fi horror movies on this week's podcast.
Yes. These movies are kind of horny.
I didn't get horny out of any of this.
I went with Jude's thing.
Okay,
I thought it was funny.
It is kind of funny.
You know what? People are going to watch the intro and be like, oh, I got to watch this episode.
Should I take my pants off? Or
You already have? You haven't yet?
no, not yet.
Oh, that's a shame.
Can you get out of your Spanx in time?
I do like my Spanx. They have a cool little.
I like your Spanx too.
They have a cool little pocket for my phone, man.
Oh, that's
when,
nice.
when you're walking around the park, so they don't fall out.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast. We're talking semi-horny horror sci-fi movies, and I'm joined, as always, by my fantastic panel of nerds. Vader's got a numb throat. What's up, dude?
Jeez, about knocked my.
You are a mess.
You are a
today.
disaster today,
knocked
man.
my honey water over, and my. This is just a. I have like a shelf of throat numbness over here. I got sweet and sour stuff. I got chloroseptic spray.
This is what your room's going to look like when we come visit you at the home.
Jude's Witch's Brew,
You're
sugar,
welcome.
lemon, chloroseptic spray.
It's just
drink.
everything we can do to stop you from
I
coughing.
know, man. It's like, I think this stuff's actually going to sort of work.
It might.
We'll see.
You'll have a good time with it.
Yeah, I'm good. How
Okay,
are you?
good.
I'm fine.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man.
Also, hello.
Hello.
Jude is also here.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Why are these movies horny for you?
I just got a horny vibe off of them. Like, everyone's not even horny for each other, but everyone on these ships are horny for weird things. Like,
Okay.
sunlight is making me so horny.
Oh,
Space is making me so horny. And, like, God's talking to me and it's making me horny. It's fucking weird, man.
Okay.
Do you want something strong and black inside you?
Wow.
That's a line from a movie.
One of the movies we watched.
Yes. All right. Kadish is also here. What's up, man?
Yes, I had a very difficult time this week because I
What?
hated all these movies. Well, Sunshine was okay.
That's the one you picked.
Yeah.
That was the worst one.
It was.
It's
I
the
agree.
horniest one, too.
It's the weirdest one.
Yeah.
It's the art. You know what?
It's the one that Paul Stanky Anderson had nothing to do with.
It's some artsy fartsy bullshit.
Yeah.
Sci-fi.
It was artsy fartsy.
with the flashies and it's like.
And then like the blonde, it was like early Christopher Nolan, like blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird.
like
It
every
was
10 minutes.
I mean, okay, just really. It's a pretty movie,
Well, that's the first one we're talking about.
but
yeah.
it's super goofy,
Yeah.
artsy fartsy, weird.
My
Yeah,
favorite
so,
this week is Event Horizon.
Yeah.
Of course. it is.
So what are we going to talk about this week?
This week we're going to talk about Sunshine, Event Horizon, and
Pandorum.
Oh yeah, the not Kevin Spacey, fucking Dennis Quaid movie.
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey.
Same guy.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever. It works.
Whatever.
We're professionals.
All right. Before we get into it, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk about Sunshine. Welcome back, everybody. First thing on our list is Sunshine. Jude, take it away.
All right. I'm going to give you the synopsis of Sunshine in just a second, but before I do, I just wanted to tell you how you can help support the show without spending any money. So first of all, wherever you're listening to us, just scroll down and hit that 5th star and give us a 5-star review. It really helps us out. And if you have time for it, leave us a comment. We love comments. We always read them, and sometimes we read them on the show, so we might read yours. And if you have a few extra bucks during the month and you want to share it with us, thank you. And we'll take it. So we have a Patreon. It's at saltynerdclub.com, and you can sign up at either the $5 or $30 tier, and you get extra stuff that nobody else gets because they don't give us money and you do, like trivia once a month that we do with our club members. And you can chat with us on Discord. Alex is in there every single day, and we're all in there throughout the week. And you can chat with us and give us your ideas about the show. And you get 4 exclusive episodes just for you that we do for just our patrons every single month. So become a Saltine. And now, Sunshine. 2007 Sunshine, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour 47 minutes. This had a budget of $40 million. Alex, what do you think this brought into the box?
Rated R? Mm-hmm. Why?
All these movies were rated R.
Oh.
It's too sexy.
Isn't that what it is? I don't remember anything like
No, it's too
It's too sexy. Exclusive.
Is there any boobs this week for all being rated R?
No boobs.
No boobs.
That's some weak shit right there. Now I hate these movies even more.
It's all R for like gore and horror and stuff like that.
I don't remember there being much gore in Sunshine. Anyway, $40 million budget. I think it made in $28 million in the box office.
Okay, Vader.
I'll just guess and say 32.
On the nose, $32 million. Vader wins a speedboat.
Dun, 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 dun. I get both showcase showdowns.
You do.
$32 million. So it did lose money.
Yeah.
Because I literally have never heard of this movie
Same.
before.
Yeah.
But it has a banger cast, though.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all very young.
Very
Super
young.
young. Yeah. Do you want to know what it's about?
Absolutely.
Okay. The crew of Icarus II are on a mission to reboot Earth's dying sun. They've bid adieu to their families with the knowledge that, well, if you wake up one day and it's kind of nice out, you're welcome. On the way to the sun, the psych officer is crazy horny for being engulfed in the sun's rays. The farmer scientist lady is horny for plants. America's ass is homesick and horny for watching videos of ocean waves. And Thomas Shelby is horny for bombs and saving humanity. All is going well on the mission until they intercept the distress beacon from the first Icarus ship. Everyone but Chris Evans decide to go check out the distress call, and Chris Evans was 100% correct. There's a charbroiled psycho aboard who's horny for a mission of his own, to take all of humanity to heaven, ASAP. This movie's weird, man.
It's real weird. Real artsy-fartsy weird movie. Also, like, the Icarus mythology is like somebody who flew too close to the sun and then died, right?
Yep.
So why would you name both of your spaceships
Icarus?
Icarus.
Yeah.
That just seems like you're setting yourself up for failure.
I would name it something cool like the Iron Maiden or something.
Megadeth.
Spinal Tap.
Yeah. Shit, you could just name it Sunshine. But like Sunshine 1 on the way. Like it makes sense. But Icarus, like, let's make sure we know everybody. Let's make sure everybody knows we're gonna fucking die.
They're gonna save everybody on the world. And they call it Savior One or something.
Something. You know?
Puddle jumper.
Puddle jump. Fuck, I hate that name.
So who does Captain America's in this thing?
Yeah.
Scarecrow's in this thing.
So it was Benedict Wong. who
Yeah,
plays Doctor Strange.
yeah.
Doctor Strange's sidekick.
Sidekick.
Yep.
A thin Benedict Wong.
He's very. I didn't recognize him
I
at first.
did not recognize him.
But
Oh, and
Mr. Samurai.
Michelle Yeoh.
yeah, Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle
Yeah,
Yeoh.
yeah, she's in this movie too. This is a dope cast.
It's a
Yeah.
great cast.
Yeah, and Hiroyuki
Yeah.
Sanada,
love
who's like
him.
the go-to Japanese actor.
yeah, he was in
He's
like
in everything.
he's in everything.
Westworld.
Yeah,
all kinds of-
Westworld.
Yeah, he was Scorpion in the new Mortal Kombat.
That's right.
He's the
Yeah.
best part of that movie.
Get over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this like
Is there anybody in this cast that hasn't gone on to be somewhat famous?
I don't know. Rose Byrne is also in this.
Yeah,
Mark
I love
Strong
her.
plays Pinbacker.
It's like
I was gonna say, yeah, the guy, the charbroiled dude from the Icarus One. Like, you don't ever see his face, but as I was watching it, I clicked on like the cast or whatever, and
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, he's in this too.
Well, you see his face in the video diaries that that the captain that Sonata
yeah.
plays.
That's true.
Is reviewing.
All right, so the premise of this, I guess, is
the sun is dying.
the sun is
Yeah.
dying.
So they got to
and-
reboot it by dropping like a nuke into
yeah.
it and create a star within a star.
Yeah, which I don't
think that works.
email.
I don't know about that science.
I gotta
but
email
whatever.
Professor Target and be like, would this work?
It's not a nuke. It's not a nuke.
It's like a cold fusion thing,
Yeah.
right?
Some kind of thing to kickstart the star.
Yeah, to
Start the sun.
which I don't think that would.
It's a bomb.
Yeah, it's a bomb.
Yeah, the payload that they're taking there has like the mass of like a small moon or something like that.
And so they send the first Icarus 1 ship there, and then like nobody hears from it again, and they're like, oh shit, something happened. So they send Icarus 2. And they're like, well, go and see if this works a second time. Let's do the same thing, exactly the same thing again. And then once they get there, they find out that Icarus 1 is just kind of like floating around in orbit and like nobody's alive on it. They're like, oh, what's going on? Let's go explore, which is every single movie this week.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, look, a derelict spaceship. Let's go on board.
It should be derelict sleeper ship week
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
Let's go on, check it out.
Yeah,
see
and Chris
how-
Evans is the only one who's like, we're not doing this. We're
Yeah.
on a mission to save all of humanity.
We're
we're sticking with the mission, and they really should have.
He's watched sci-fi movies before.
Right,
Yeah.
he's seen horror movies.
Yeah, 100%.
Is this, go ahead.
Like one of my big issues with this film in particular is that like when you're writing a movie, you always want to give a reason why stuff is happening. And when you have a mission that's so important to the fate of humanity, you wouldn't deviate off of that, even for the redundancy excuse that they had. So typically, like when you're writing something like this, what you do is you'd have that scene and the crew would be like, okay, we're sticking on mission. We're not going after this thing because our mission's too important. And then something happens where like their payload becomes faulty and they're forced to go after the other ship in order to get their payload.
Why didn't they just get him on the way back?
Isn't that sort of what happened?
No, what happened is that so Cilian Murphy's character, he's like the astrophysicist on the mission, and they make the case that they're not sure if his bomb is actually going to work, and by getting the other payload along with their payload, they have like
basically double their chances.
Yeah, they double the chances of the mission actually working.
Yeah.
But you know, like I feel like that was kind of like faulty logic in a way because like if their payload didn't work, they could have just swung around and gotten that one on the way home and like turned back around and stuff like that. So I didn't like the logic, but like if this were a properly written movie, it would have been like, okay, our payload for whatever reason like is faulty, we can't use it, so we have to go after this other one, and then like all like the bad shit starts happening.
Well, they had a perfect time to do that too, because something happens to the ship where the sun, like one of the something blows up or something like that, which damages their shield, right?
Yeah, no, what happens is that so they decide to go after the Icarus One, and Benedict Wong, who's like the navigator, he forgets to adjust the shield because they changed their trajectory by like 1.2 degrees, and he forgot to take into account the fact that he needed to adjust the sun shield as well. And so when they make the adjustment, they're exposed to direct sunlight, and they're so close to the sun that it actually like
it burns out some sensors.
Well, it destroys part of their ship because like it basically just melts, and it causes all types of like catastrophic issues, and it creates holes in their shield and stuff like that they got to fix, and it just starts the spiral of ever increasing like bad decisions.
It had something to do with the shields. The shields not closing properly.
Yeah, well, that's why they had to go out there.
There was like 3 of those things. And,
yeah,
and just one little thing, one catastrophe after another.
I'll give this movie a lot of credit for the cinematography. It's freaking gorgeous.
Really pretty.
And the spacewalks where they go out there and they have to repair the shield, and they're in that big gold weird looking spacesuit. I was digging that shit, dude. I thought it was really freaking cool.
I think they had to get everybody on the planet to turn in all their gold for these 2 spaceships. Because, you know, the gold thing is the reflector's real. That's what they use in space to...
You think that whole shield is made out of gold? Or at least gold-plated?
It kind of has to be, I think. Yeah. But I don't know. But, you know, if you look at, like, these satellites and like
that new telescope that they
the
just
new
put
telescope,
out there,
they're completely covered in gold. And they're crazy looking. It's really neat.
Yeah. This movie is beautiful, but I do agree with Vader. It's a little too artsy fartsy for me. Like they had a lot of like slow scenes where it was just like really focusing in on a character.
Well, it really kicked in for me when they get to the Icarus One, and they're opening the hatch and everything's covered in dust. And every 10 seconds you see this little subliminal flash of I'm assuming it's a face of a crew member from the first Icarus, but nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit about the people on the Icarus One with their little flashes and the little. Yeah, it was dumb. And then I did like the part how I'm assuming, maybe I misinterpreted this wrong, but everything's covered in dust, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did all that dust come from? And then you find out like it's probably human dirt, just ash. It's just human ash everywhere.
Yeah, skin cells and shit.
Yeah, but there was still a lot of it. It was
probably part of it was probably like ice and stuff like that, because it would have been cold in there.
I don't know.
Well, no. So like the crew of the Icarus One, basically, they went to the observation room, and there was a hole in the shield, and basically, they're burned to the core, and that ash from their skin over the course of 7 years, I think that they were out there. Circulates throughout the ship,
coated everything. That's how I interpreted that.
That's what's in his throat. That's why he needs that chloroseptic.
It's actually, the throat number is actually working pretty good right now.
It's doing its job.
But artsy fartsy, pretty, but artsy fartsy, and I just the artsy fartsy stuff kind of took me out of it a little bit. And then I still don't understand Mr. Crispy. I don't.
I don't know how he survived. They explained it. They're like, well, technically, he had enough food for everybody.
Told him.
Yeah, something like that. Obviously, he went space crazy.
It's just whatever. It's like, you know, I'm like, where'd this guy come from? It makes no sense that dude who's 100% burned all over his body is now space sun Jesus, and he wants to like kill everybody to go to heaven or something. I thought, okay, you guys know how I watch movies, right? If it's good, I'll watch it. This took me 3 days.
Yeah.
It was a 3-day watch for me. I'm like, I guess I got 20 minutes left. I'll just finish this thing. It's just, you know, because we went to coffee yesterday. I still wasn't finished watching the movie.
Oh man,
I finished this last night, but this was a rough movie for me. The cast is great. It's pretty. It's way too artsy fartsy. It's convoluted. It's kind of confusing. I don't know. It's just. I don't care if I ever watch this movie again.
Jude, what are your thoughts? Are you in line with Vader?
Yeah, I feel like on paper this could have been a really cool movie, but it doesn't work. I can't tell you why it doesn't. It's like artsy fartsy doesn't really bother me, to use your words. But I thought it was really boring, and I just thought that I don't know if it was like the chemistry didn't work or it was just so slow. And I don't love like psychological thrillers. I usually find them pretty boring. And I think that this is a psychological movie, not necessarily a horror movie. It doesn't fit in like sci-fi horror for me. And
what would you have changed about it?
I don't know. See, that's what's driving me nuts is that I can't figure out why I don't like it or what would make it better.
There's a lot of scenes in this movie where it's like slow moving camera pans, but they're close up on like your nose and your eyeballs of the character. And I'm just like, oh, come on. It's just like, I don't want to see up his nose.
It's a character-driven movie.
It's just, it's very strange. It's just, I don't know. Maybe Matt can explain some of those movie producing choices. I don't know, but I didn't like it.
If this was a book, I probably would have really enjoyed the book.
Yeah.
But the translation of it in a movie, it just doesn't connect with me, and I don't know why.
Kadish, what are your thoughts?
All right, so this is a Danny Boyle movie, and he was the director of Train Spotting, Leonardo DiCaprio's The Beach. He made 28 Days Later, Slumdog Millionaire, 127 Hours with James Franco. And the guy who he wrote this script with, his name's Alex Garland. Now, Alex Garland was a novelist. He wrote the novel The Beach, which Danny Boyle made the film adaptation of. That's how they met. And he also wrote 28 Days Later. He wrote the movie Dread with Carl Urban.
Cillian Murphy's also in 28 Days Later, isn't he?
Yes. And so is Rose Byrne, who's also in this movie. And Alex Garland has made the jump into directing. His directorial debut was Ex Machina with Moon Knight.
Whoa.
Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, I was gonna say don't mention that show here.
But his latest film was this movie with Natalie Portman called Annihilation. And the thing about Alex Garland is that he's so high-minded, he's borderline pretentious. Like, I hated Annihilation. I thought it was like one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen, and it was simply because it was trying to be very like highbrow, and it was just coming off as like boring and dumb and confusing. So Alex Garland has a long history of writing kind of boring, dumb, confusing stuff and making it very high-minded. And in this movie, so like they spent 3 years making this movie. They spent a year just working on the script. They spent a year in pre-production. They shot it over the course of 3 months. And then they spent a year in post-production because Danny Boyle, he'd never done a science fiction movie before. And he didn't want like a bunch of different effects houses working on the effects. So he chose one effects house. And he's like, you guys do all the special effects for this movie. And so it took them a really long time to do all the special effects for it. And Danny Boyle had such a hard time making this movie that he vowed never to make another science fiction movie again. So this is going to be Danny Boyle's one and only science fiction film. But the interesting thing about this movie is that Alex Garland in his original script had a very deep kind of theme going on in this film, which was basically, it was a film about atheism and finding your belief in God. And the sun was meant to represent God. Cillian Murphy's character, is that how you pronounce it?
I don't think anyone knows. I say Cilian.
Yeah, I say Cilian.
Okay. I do say Cillian. I think it's a hard
Yeah, Cillian Murphy.
All right. Well, his character, it basically is like the hard science guy. He doesn't believe in God. He's an atheist. And the pinbacker, is that his name? Mark Strong's character. He's to represent fundamentalism. And so like he's the guy who's like,
he's your born again Christian.
or like the jihadist or something like that,
the extremist,
the extremist, yeah. So basically, Garland's script had like all these like heavy religious themes to it, and at the end of the movie, when Cillian Murphy detonates the payload to save the sun, and the surface of the sun's rushing up to him, and then it stops, and he reaches out to it, like that's him meeting God and having his conversion from being an atheist to believing in the power of the universe and stuff like that. He sees the light, basically. And one of the weird things about this movie is that, so when they were making it, Danny Boyle was like, I don't know about all this religious symbolism. I'm going to pull that back. And he pulled it back so much that it gets lost. And so like it just comes off as weird.
Yeah.
But one of the things is that Danny Boyle's favorite movie is Alien. And so he wanted to make like his version of Alien. And the weird thing about this is that, in most horror movies, darkness is the thing that's supposed to be creepy. And they're like, well, we're going to reverse that. We're going to make light creepy in this movie. And so like they tried to, make light the bright sunlight, the horror aspect of the film. I feel like
if they're going to go deep existential movie like that, then they should have just gone with it and seen what happened. Because the way it turned out, if you're going to make an artsy-fartsy movie, don't take the artsy-fartsy weird metaphysical stuff out of it. Just
go full artsy-fartsy.
Go full whatever.
Lean into it.
Because what they ended up with...
something in the middle.
Was something...
Which we don't... None of us are like,
that doesn't
Nobody
work either
likes
way.
that.
It's not like just a straight-up sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not a good...
horror movie either.
No. It's just weird. It just ended up being weird.
I had fun with the sci-fi, or not even the sci-fi, just the scientific element of this movie. I thought it was really freaking cool. The sun shield and going out on the spacewalks and the danger of being that close to the sun.
I was like, cool elements.
I love the design of the ship itself.
Yeah,
it looks like something
that could be real
that we wouldn't build.
And I love that they have like a garden that like produces the oxygen, which I don't know if that works or not.
No, I think that's part of it.
I don't know how many square feet you need to create enough oxygen to breathe for like 9 people.
Plants, I'm sorry, the machines with the plants that were like circulating it.
Yeah, it was a cool concept.
I don't know about the science, but I was like, I'll believe it.
Yeah, and I love that what's her name? Michelle.
Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh.
All they needed was some donkeys. And they would have been fine. To make some
Nathan Fillion and some cows.
Make some methane and some stuff to put in the air.
And a pretty little bonnet.
Pretty floral bonnet.
We'll talk about that later today. But yeah, I thought the ship was cool.
Yeah.
Because it looks like something that, it looks like the next evolution of the International Space Station that's floating overhead right now.
I can see that.
Because it's like so many weird disjointed pieces just sticking
like
out
Lego
one direction.
together.
That's what it looks like, and that's what this looks like. And it's kind of got that cool like 2001 Space Odyssey meets modern day tech kind of thing going on.
Yeah, visually, we said this already.
It looked right.
Yeah.
And I love the space shield.
And I liked that like each person in the crew had a clear job and you understood why they were on this mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually got a guy from CERN. His name is Professor Brian Cox to be their science advisor. And so like he was the guy who kind of came in and said like, okay, like if this were an actual mission to the sun, this is how you would have to do things and this is how things would be built and stuff like that. Now there's a lot of wonky science in this movie.
Sure.
Especially like the whole thing about the sun dying. It's kind of weird because like we got about 4 billion years before that starts happening. But
and also like we're going to fly up to it.
and blow it up.
And survive.
That's humanity's answer to everything. It's broken? Blow it up.
And also like the artificial gravity type thing. So like typically like, you use centrifugal force to
create
simulate the gravity. And with this, Danny Boyle is just like, you know what, I don't want to get wrapped up in that. So we're just going to kind of ignore it.
I can appreciate that though. I mean, sure.
You know how much of a pain in the ass this movie would have been if they had to have everybody in zero G
circling behind the shield.
Well, even if they didn't want to do that, if they're like, okay, we're going to be in zero G this whole movie, it would have been 10 years to make it because they would have had to go up in the plane and film all the scenes of them floating around.
You know what was funny is so like the entire cast, like they had the entire cast live together for like a couple months before they start shooting, so that they could kind of like get to know one another and act like that like they've been in the ship.
If they would have came to me and like, okay, listen, this is was a part of your contract for this movie is you have to live with your co-hosts or your co-stars for like 6 months. I'd have been like, I'm an actor. I can act like I know these people.
This is a movie about what happens when you put 12 strangers in a spaceship.
Like, did you want it to come across how irritated we are with each other?
Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah, the only person that didn't live with the cast was Cilian Murphy because his wife was pregnant at the time, and so like he wanted to be able to go home and visit her. But one of the interesting things is that Cliff Curtis, who plays like the ship's counselor, he's the guy who at the beginning he's like,
the nut job who's obsessed with the sun.
Yeah, so like his character was supposed to be throughout the whole movie, but midway through shooting, his father fell ill, and so like he had to leave, and so like they just killed off his character,
Killed him first,
and had to like rewrite like the ending without him.
Okay. How'd you guys feel about his little psychotic break when he's like this movie opens up with him sitting in that like observation room and he's like, turn it up. How far can I turn it up before I go blind? And he's like, you can go 3.1% and then your retinas are going to go glassed over. And he's like, do it.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Super horny for sun rays.
Right.
And then he's like, it's like being engulfed because space is like darkness is the absence, but the sun is like full.
I'm sorry.
Like, what?
I didn't buy it. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Why are you so horny for the sun, you weirdo?
Well, again, the sun is meant to symbolize God.
Yeah.
And so like when he's, seeing God and he's getting exposed to it, he's becoming more and more like fervent in his belief.
He's like, I'm gonna fuck the sun.
He kind of does. You're right. He kind of gets real horned up about it.
He
It's
does.
so weird.
Do you see it now? The horniness.
In this movie, definitely. You're gonna have to explain the other ones.
Okay.
But yeah. So I don't know. Do you guys want to do final thoughts? I don't know how much more to say about this.
I've got nothing else.
It's a beautiful movie. It's really pretty to look at.
Yeah.
It's kind of wonky and it's a little boring. I will. That's my final thoughts. I'm going to give it like a right down the middle 2.5. It's got high points for being gorgeous. If you love eye candy, this is the movie. If you love weird futuristic science,
I don't even know if the eye candy's enough to pull it up for me. I mean,
it is for me.
pretty, but it's just it's
like,
too weird.
Like this is a movie that I want to take and I want to go watch it with Professor Target and be like, can you explain this to me? Like, does this work? Like, I want to talk to him about this movie. Like, that's what kind of like it piques my interest.
You want to tell people who Professor Target is?
Professor Target is a friend of the podcast who is an astrophysicist, and he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, we met him at the Star Trek convention.
Yep.
We like smart people.
We like smart people. They make us feel better.
Power of science, people.
And so it's like it did pique my interest, but the metaphors and this whole like God atheism thing, I was just kind of like, can we just go straight horror? Because I think that would have been better. Like, just start offing people in weird ways and then have it turn out to be the crispy dude. Like, cool. But that's it. 2.5 for me. Vader, final thoughts. Give it a rating.
I'm right there with you. I have all the same kind of things to say about it. It's a pretty movie. It's a weird movie. It's too artsy for me. Great cast. It's a really good cast. A lot of these people I guess most of them were sort of famous already, but it's interesting. It's interesting to see what these people went on and did.
Yeah. I think, is everybody in this movie somehow involved in the Marvel universe?
Probably.
I'm just thinking about
in Hollywood now.
Wong, Captain America. We got
Michelle Yeoh was in
Chung
Lee.
Yeah, Legend of the Ten Rings.
If they were Asian, they're in 10 Rings for sure. Everybody was in that movie. But I'm really kind of torn because it just was just kind of a blah. It took me 3 days to watch it. Like I said, I gotta go like a 2.
Okay, okay.
I think I'm gonna go. It's not a 1-star crap fest. If you've never seen it, it's pretty. Take an hour and a half, and if you got some time to waste,
3 days
or 3 days, like I watched it, yeah. And knock it out. It's interesting. It's got some cool stuff in it, but it did not pique my interest. It didn't hold me there, and I didn't care about the characters. Mm-hmm. I knew they were all going to die, from the get go. They're all going to die.
The ship is called Icarus.
Yeah. So there's some cool stuff in it though. Definitely worth watching if you've never seen it before. Okay. And I have, and I'm never going to watch it again.
Okay.
So
Jude?
We forgot to mention one thing.
What's up?
So when at the end of the movie, when the mission was successful, it's not even that much nicer out. Like they're all on Earth and they're like, it's kind of nice out today.
Well,
yeah.
I'm so glad 14 people died.
Yeah.
it takes some time for the heat, the sun to
8
heat
minutes,
up.
right?
8 minutes.
Yeah. 8 minutes from the sun to Earth.
They're gonna have some flooding problems when the heat's back up too. There's a lot of snow out there.
There's going to be people out there going like, global warming. Like, you told us to do this. We made a mistake. Sorry. I got political for a second. Jude, final thoughts, give it a rating.
You know how I feel about One Star Crap Fest. It has to make me angry.
Right.
This did not make me angry.
Okay.
However, it made me disappointed. That makes me feel like a parent. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. I really wanted to like this. It has a great cast and like sci-fi horror. I was like, ooh yeah, give me some sci-fi horror. And I didn't get anything I wanted out of it. So I guess I feel the same as you, Vader. Like, it's a 2-star, 2 payloads out of 5.
Okay. Kadish?
Yeah, so Danny Boyle, he kind of came up through the indie cinema world, and he's like, an independent filmmaker. He's very much an auteur, like he has like a very strong artistic vision. This movie is very kind of slow and ponderous, and you can tell that it's from like that kind of like British indie cinema realm. Alex Garland adds a lot of pretentiousness to this movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just kind of like very poorly paced, I think. This is Danny Boyle's version of Alien. So you have like the crispy zombie who comes on the ship and he just starts killing everyone and stuff like that. It's like, I remember when I went and saw this in the theater, I was like, oh, it's a sun zombie. Okay. In a weird way, like I feel like the early parts of this movie where like the whole crew is alive and seeing them work together and finding out the details of their mission and stuff like that. That to me was the more interesting aspect of this. And then like when things started going wrong and the horror aspects came into play, I kind of checked out because like I just didn't care. I was more interested in the journey.
I liked my theory about the sun zombie dude yesterday before I finished the movie, because I had this theory that Mr. Crispy was really Cillian Murphy.
From like the future or something?
From just, and what we were watching was his mental breakdown of him going crazy and killing everybody.
Yeah. But you mentioned you don't know what would have made this movie better. I was just thinking, as he was talking, I was like, what would have been really cool is instead of having like another crew member from the Icarus One come over and be the crazy person, like have one of the crew. And have it be a mystery for us to figure out as the audience, like which one of the crew has gone mental and started killing everybody.
I thought that's what they were doing, but then it was kind of like, oh, it's got to be the guy that fucked up the shields, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of obvious, and then I was like, oh, it's a totally different guy.
I have one more comment.
Okay. Yeah, good.
Anytime you have a movie about a big giant ship that has a really super smart computer AI on it, it's trouble.
Yeah.
It's trouble. It's like, what are we doing, Dave?
Is that what this movie was missing?
They should have made the computer the crazy person.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That would have been.
Because it did kind of fuck them up because they were like going off course to go to Icarus One, and the computer was like, no, fuck you.
We have a mission.
Yeah.
You're going to die, but we have a mission to complete.
Yeah. The mission is going to...
I can't do it, Dave.
Yeah.
It was...
The whole crew needs to be sacrificed in order to accomplish the mission. The guy's like, you're killing everybody. I'm on mission.
And you know what? Everybody on that crew should be cool with that before they even ever launch from planet Earth.
Yeah,
they know they're not coming back.
Yeah, they all kind of
If I'm an astronaut and I'm on a mission to jumpstart the sun,
I'm dead.
I'm saying my goodbyes before I go.
Yeah.
It's just because I'm not coming back.
And people who have like kids and families, and they're like, oh, I miss you guys. What are you doing on a spaceship?
Yeah, you shouldn't even be on the ship.
You're a liability at that point.
Yeah. It's like these people that are going to go to Mars.
I am disqualified from going to space. Sorry. I'd love to, but it ain't going to happen.
Yeah. And anyway... 2 space zombies out of 5.
Okay, so we're all the same.
All
yeah, 2's all around.
You give it the highest with 2.5.
Because I think it's pretty. I do give it a lot of points for that because it was a gorgeous movie. That spacewalk was epic. All right, that's it for Sunshine. Next up on our list is Event Horizon. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you want to support the podcast and play an awesome mobile game, go to saltynerd.com/DC or just go to the App Store and type in Dragon Champions. Download the game, go into the promo section, type in Salty, and then get yourself to level 20. It's a really fun, easy to play hero collection game where you can kind of like go on battles and upgrade your characters. And once you reach level 20, then you can ask to become a part of our Salty Nerd Podcast Guild, which is ran by our patron, JT. It's a fun guild. I finally got up to I'm at like level 27, moving up in the world, guys. Ooh. Yeah, it's awesome. Woo. And I accidentally started a raid last week and I got berated by everybody. They're like, you're not supposed to do that without consulting the guild. And I'm like, oh shit, sorry guys.
then I went in there and just killed everything.
Yeah, you took the whole thing down. So I didn't even get to play. I was like,
it's mine.
All right.
I'm taking all the credit.
Anyway.
He challenged you to a home game.
Yeah. Go to saltynerd.com/DC and download the game. It's a lot of fun. The developers support us as a podcast. We want to return the favor. All right. The next movie on our list, Paul W. Stank Anderson's Event Horizon.
I kind of like Stanky movies.
He's getting better.
Yeah.
Oh, careful.
Oh.
You're going to trigger Kadish.
I gotta point out that, so like,
this is before he put his initials in it, right?
yeah. So
Okay.
so basically, there are two aspects to Stanky Anderson's career. There's the pre-Resident Evil, and then there's the post-Resident Evil. And pre-Resident Evil, he didn't write his own scripts. He didn't have Mila Jovovich in the movies, and he had people around him to tell him that his ideas sucked. So I just want to make that clear. Also, he did not have the WS in his name. So anytime you see a movie attributed to Paul Anderson,
It's good.
it's going to be okay.
I love that you can't say that it's good. It's okay.
That's because it's not good.
Oh, it's a good movie.
It's mediocre at best.
Yeah.
Take it away, Jude.
All right. 1997, Event Horizon, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour 36 minutes. This had a budget of $60 million. What do you think this brought into the box office? Let's start with V.
What was the budget?
60.
$57 million.
All right, Alex.
100 million.
$42 million.
I didn't think this movie did much.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right. I do remember.
Also
it.
lost money.
Yeah, I do remember because I watched a little 20-minute documentary on this film this
you
week.
did?
Yeah, because I really like this film, and I was like,
Really?
Yeah, I really do. I think it's fun. I think it's right up there with the crazy, creepy, portal to hell.
It's because of Sam Neill.
99% because of Sam Neill.
You're a little horned up over
Yeah,
Sam.
your boyfriend's in
I'm
this movie.
a Sam Neill shill.
Yeah. If it was anyone else in this, would you like it as much?
Probably because I you know me.
You know, Jeremy Irons was originally supposed to be Sam Neill.
Oh, that would have been
That would've been
dope.
cool as fuck.
That would have made this movie better.
Sam Neill. Yeah, well, we'll get into it. But anyway, I don't know. I don't like horror all that much. It's not like my genre that I go to. But this movie, I just have a ton of fun with it. It's so
Okay.
creepy and weird. I like
Okay.
it. Yeah. Take it away, Jude. What's it all about?
Okay. A spooky spaceship mysteriously reappears after having disappeared 7 years ago. The crew of the Lewis and Clark are sent to go fetch the wayward Event Horizon. And the creepy-ass ship isn't even the creepiest thing about the ship. The black hole gateway core in the ship is open and sucking people into it and making the crew hallucinate. And Laurence Fishburne's like, we're getting the fuck out of here. And then I'm nuking this creepy-ass ship. But Sam Neill's like, you guys are being such babies. Come hang out with the black hole gateway core thingy. It's totally safe. Really, really safe. Yeah. Get closer to it. Yeah.
What are we doing?
Closer. Closer. And then he gets real horny for the ship and rips his face off.
This movie should have been Hellraiser in Space.
It kind of
Yes.
is Hellraiser in Space, dude.
But it should have been a Hellraiser movie. And it just should have just made Sam Neill Pinhead.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's what I would have done.
It's
Something
so
like that.
weird.
Well, so interesting you should mention that. So basically, the concept behind this by the screenwriter Philip Eisner was The Shining in Space. It was about a haunted, spaceship. And when Stanky Anderson came on board, he's so creatively bankrupt that he's like, I'm just going to rip off Hellraiser.
Yeah.
And so Hellraiser was like a huge influence on this film. And they even got Clive Barker to come in and do some
well,
consultation.
you
for
can
them.
tell.
Yeah,
because-
you can tell in the special effects at
Yeah.
the end of it when he's all carved up. I'm like,
Yeah.
where did that even come from?
I mean, it's basically a Hellraiser movie.
I mean,
It really
I
is.
think I'm really laughing internally right now because we've said let's do Hellraiser week, and Alex is like, no, you guys go watch those movies.
But you
I'm
love
like,
this.
But I do love this.
But you picked a Hellraiser movie.
I didn't know it was a
Basically,
Hellraiser. I thought
yeah.
it was The Shining and Aliens in Space.
This is way grosser and gorier than any Hellraiser movie. I don't know
I
what your deal is.
disagree.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I don't
we'll
know,
find
dude.
out. It's been a long time.
There is actually a Hellraiser movie that takes place in space,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we'll have to watch it someday.
Oh my God. We should do the horror movie sequels that went to space.
Oh, that's
Jason
a
goes to space, Hellraiser goes to space.
Yeah.
Oh, shitty sequels.
Leprechaun in Space.
Leprechaun in Space.
I like the aesthetic of this movie. Everything looks grimy, and the spaceships are really cool. I love the practical effects. I love the sets.
Like, why did they get H.R. Geiger to design their
right?
flagship spaceship? Like, if I were a crew member on that ship, I'd be like, no.
I'm not getting on that demon possessed hell
Well,
ship.
it wasn't demon possessed yet.
It might as well be. I mean, it looks like
They're
it's
setting
got
it
like
up.
horns and shit on it.
There's giant spikes in the middle of the room. Why are there giant spikes? What kind of a fucking torture chamber did you make the ship out of?
Scientifically, they connect the conduits to whatever the fuck. Yeah, I don't know. It's spicy.
Yeah, it was all like magnetic field gobbledygook.
Bullshit.
It was like a carnival fun house. Like as they're walking through this ship, you've got the tunnel that like you're walking over the bridge and the tunnel's like spinning around you.
The one guy's like, it looks like a cheese grater.
No, you said a meat grinder.
Meat grinder, yeah.
So,
meat grinder.
so like that meat grinder hallway, they actually built that.
Oh my God.
And the issue is that because of the spinning of that hallway, the camera crew would get disoriented and they'd like start fumbling around.
I'm sure.
And there's a scene where Laurence Fishburne towards the end of the movie has to run down that hallway, and he kept like getting like disoriented and like tripping and stuff, and so like they had to like divide up the shot of him running in multiple takes so like he wouldn't like wipe out because like it caused vertigo.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I have to give, I know Keisha's going to argue with me on this, but I have to give Anderson a lot of credit on this movie because when I was watching that documentary, this was in between two movies that he did, and I think the one right after this was Soldier that we watched last week, right?
So this movie, he made it as his follow-up to Mortal Kombat, and he made this so that Kurt Russell could get in shape for Soldier.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the actors in this movie are also in Soldier as well.
So the filming of this movie, he only had 10 months to produce this entire movie from start to finish, like pre-production all the way to final edit in the theaters. And like they were talking about,
that's impressive.
In less than a year they made this movie, and the fact that it's not absolute garbage is amazing to me. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
10 months.
I'm just still trying to get over the aesthetic. I mean, it's literally
Aliens.
It's Aliens meets Hellraiser.
Yeah.
And it's a trip.
I don't mind that.
Trip.
So this is a Paramount film, right? And basically,
Oh shit! Does that mean we're gonna get copyright claimed?
Probably.
possibly, but so basically they had scheduled Titanic to come out, and because of the overruns on that movie, they had to push that movie back, and so they pushed this movie up to a like August release date for like their summer stuff. And so Stanky Anderson was under a lot of pressure to get this movie done quickly and get it out the door. And because of the schedule rearranging due to Titanic, they basically didn't market this movie correctly, which is part of the reason why it kind of stumbled at the box office. But another interesting aspect of this is that Anderson's original cut was 130 minutes long, and it was so gory that it got an NC-17. And so like, because of the pushed up schedule, he had to go back in and just like cut out a bunch of stuff, and he didn't really have time to like fine tune the final edit. And so that's one of the reasons why this movie is kind of like very choppy, is because like he literally just had to like pull out tons of stuff at the last minute.
From what I understand, once the Hell Gate opened in the gravity drive and things started getting real weird, that real quick clip of like the people eating themselves that we see when they finally like open the video up and they're like, oh shit, this other crew like demolished each other.
They were like fucking and eating each other to death.
And then the guy like ripped his eyes out and was like, look at me. You know, it was like that. Apparently there's like 20 minutes of that in the director's cut, where it's just like gore and disgusting, like human weird shit going on.
And so like when they had his original cut do like a test screening, it was disastrous because
people were fainting and shit like that in the theaters.
Barfing in the aisle.
Like the test audience, along with the studio executives who were watching the movie, they were all just like, "Oh my god, this is terrible."
The feel good movie of the summer.
And their post production time got cut from like 10 weeks to 6 weeks, and so like they had like no time to like really retool this thing. And I think Anderson has gone on record saying that his biggest regret is like he never had time to like actually like sit down and like fine tune this movie.
Those poor actors that had to film all those gross ass scenes.
I know, right? It's like get naked and eat each
Cover
other.
yourselves in all the muck and guts, and just
Well, it's it always kind of cracks me up in like a weird dark way. It's like the main bridge where they all kind of hang out and they're trying to like figure out what's going on with the ship, and they're like in the background there's just like human goo on the walls and like skulls and stuff, and you're like, Nobody's gonna like scoop that up and get rid of it. No, we're just gonna leave it there for the entire. Okay.
Why would you?
Why would you leave it there?
I don't want to touch that shit.
I'm not doing maintenance. I'm a scientist.
The plan was for them to get the Event Horizon and take it back to Earth so they can like they can reuse it or whatever.
We'll hire a crew
And
and
they're
take
like,
it back to Earth.
they're just gonna, let's just leave the human goo in the corner.
Attach a tow cable to it and move on.
Yeah, is that what you would have done?
Hell yeah.
You would have been the guy like,
yeah.
guys, let's get the fuck off this ship.
Yeah. I don't even need to go on the ship. Just go to the ship, get your tow, bring it back to Earth.
Well, part of the story of this is basically the crew of the Lewis and Clark is a rescue operation. So like they went there looking for survivors, and then once they didn't find any survivors, then they would like fly the ship back. But there's a scene early on in this movie where we're introduced to Sam Neill and he's like shaving and stuff like that. And then he like opens the window and it's revealed that he's on like this big space platform above Earth. And then like the camera kind of like pulls back and like twirls around. It's very Stanky Anderson style.
Oh my God.
And basically that one shot cost them a third of their effects budget. It lasts 45 seconds. And it took them like months in order to like complete that one shot, because at the time, you got to remember this was like 97. CGI was like in its infancy, and they were playing with a bunch of toys.
Probably had a lot of models.
Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love the practical model effects, like, George Lucas style.
Yep.
It's so good.
And the interesting aspect of this movie is, so like when Sam Neill is explaining how you fold space in order to like travel through like a point, Christopher Nolan actually ripped that off for Interstellar. He used the exact same speech and the exact same like example that Sam Neill uses in this movie.
With a piece of
That's
paper.
the theory. That's the what's that guy? What's
Stephen
that guy?
Hawking?
Stephen Hawking guy.
Show some respect, sir.
Yeah, that was not.
Whatever.
Well, space travel is like a ball of yarn.
Yeah. You're ruining it, Jude. Freaking Quan Ha over here.
Yeah, don't reference Halo.
It literally looks like. So you texted us when we were watching this movie, and you were like, "Is Cooper doing like a Denzel Washington thing?"
Oh yeah.
And I totally got the same vibe. I was like, "Yeah, he kind of does sound like Denzel Washington."
Yeah.
Would you like something hot and black inside you? Ooh.
And then he kind of like throughout the movie, he kind of loses it a little bit, and he kind of becomes his own character. But like the opening scene,
the first 30 minutes, he's Denzel.
He's Denzel. It's great.
The only thing this movie needed that I would have inserted is I would have put Bill Paxton in it.
That's what it needed.
Yeah,
It needed Bill Paxton.
It needed
really
Bill
did.
Paxton.
Yeah.
Game over, man. Like just somebody to freak out in the background. Like, yes.
Put him in
100%.
one of like the minor crew members. Just
kill him off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
As soon as they open the portal, he could have been the kid. The kid who first gets sucked into the portal. He's like, they call him baby bear or something like that. They call him.
yeah.
Joe Noseworthy?
No, Jack Noseworthy.
Jack
The
Noseworthy.
dude from Barbed Wire, right?
Well, yeah. So he was the brother in Barbed Wire. But
That's what I know him from.
But he was also, at the time, he was like a big kind of like MTV kind of like star.
Okay.
Yeah, he just kind of like faded out, right?
Yeah. So like he had a show on MTV around this time, and he was kind of like a rising star. And after this movie, like he did this movie, he did Barbed Wire, and then after that, he just kind of like disappeared. And like I've never seen him in anything else. So like it's kind of weird. But like he had a big following, because I think his MTV show was something like Dead Like Me or Dead Before 21 or something like that.
I don't know.
It was a weird show, but it was kind of popular at the time.
One of my favorite scenes in this movie is him in the airlock. And they're like, "We're going to rescue him. We're going to get him." And he's like, "Help me." He's like crying for help because he knows he's going to get sucked out into space. And Laurence Fishburne is in a spacesuit. He's outside doing a spacewalk, repairing stuff up. And he's like, "Curl up in a ball, close your eyes, and push all your oxygen out of your lungs." And I'm like, yeah, that checks out. I'm pretty sure I've heard enough.
I've heard that before.
I've heard enough documentaries where they're like, you don't instantly die.
You're not going to last long.
But your liquids are going to start boiling, and the air inside your lungs is going to expand. So like breathe out as fast as you can and get all the air out of your lungs. I'm like, yeah, that's so cool. And that scene where he's like floating around, like the freaking liquids are coming out.
Yeah.
And Fishburne like grabs him. That scene's freaking awesome. I love it.
The best scene in this movie is when they finally like decipher the footage of like what happens after like they initially engage the gravity drive, and like all those people are like ripping their eyes out.
The
doing
sex
all the
cannibal
weird-
party.
And Laurence Fishburne, it ends, and Laurence Fishburne is just like,
We're leaving.
okay, we're out of here.
Yeah, we're leaving.
We're leaving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I need more of that in horror movies.
like that was just like the most common sense thing anyone's ever done in a horror movie. It was like, we're out of here.
The Fishburne is the only one who survived, right?
No, he died.
I think
Fishburne?
I think they all died again, dude.
Do they all die?
The blonde girl survives.
The blonde girl survived. The black guy survived, and
that's right.
Jack Noseworthy
Cooper survives?
survived. Yeah.
That's right. They go into stasis.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I remember.
Then they wake up on a prison 60 years later.
No, that's Aliens. Don't talk about Aliens
two of them are
3,
dead.
man.
What'd you do to my ship?
Aliens 3 sucks.
Hicks is
that
dead.
movie is a pile of trash.
Newt's dead. So what the fuck?
All the cool characters from the last movie
Bill
just
Paxton's
died
dead.
off screen.
Can we talk about the ending of this movie, which I thought was like
Absolutely.
pretty terrible?
Was that all the Hellraiser shit? I don't know if I remember.
Well,
that.
no. So the ending is basically there's a new rescue team that comes, opens up the door. They take what's her name? The
Kathleen
The blonde lady.
Quinlan?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
Oh, no.
What do I know her from? The whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm
no
like,
Nip Tuck. She was the wife of Nip Tuck.
I never watched that show.
She should have been played by the chick from Jurassic Park.
Laura Dern? Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah. So basically, her name's Stark, and so the rescue crew opens up her stasis pod and brings her out. And then, one guy is like, it's okay, it's going to be okay. And he lifts up his helmet, and it's Sam Neill. And she wakes up and she starts freaking out. And the other guys, Cooper and the rest of the rescue team are there. And it was like she's having a vision. And it's kind of implying that, like, okay, the part of the possessed ship is still, like,
Following
fucking
her
with people.
around, yeah.
And you get the sense that this whole new crew is rescue crew is going to get fucked with, and it could even like translate to Earth.
When
or
you
something
open
like
up a
that.
portal to hell, and,
Bad things
They're
happen.
like,
and Pinhead comes out and possesses you.
They're like, we're so glad we found you. We just got to go rescue the Event Horizon real quick, and then we'll all head back to Earth.
And she's the crazy one. Like, why is she freaking out about the
Yeah.
stupid ship?
I wish he should have turned them all into Cenobites. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you know what's funny about this movie? So like, it wasn't a box office success, but it's found an audience on home video. It's become kind of like a cult movie. A lot of people talk about this movie with, like Alex does, where he's like, "Oh, this movie's awesome." I don't understand that, but it's gotten to the point where there's actually talks to make it into like an original series on a streaming service that's a sequel to the movie.
Huh.
That would be interesting.
It depends.
It would just be,
I don't-
a space hellport.
I don't want to see it if Netflix produces it.
I
No,
don't
no,
need
no.
it.
The dudes that made Invasion. I would watch the hell out of that.
Well, if they got like Mike Flanagan, the guy who did the Haunting of Hill House and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Black Mass.
Dude, that whole cast that
What,
does
so they can bore us to death with
What?
fancy camera angles.
Those
Get outta
movies
here.
are crazy. Or I guess they're shows, but Black Mass, Haunting of Blair
Do you
Manor.
guys remember what we do here? We make fun of bad shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, are you making fun of this movie? Is this a bad movie?
It's not a good movie. We need.
I concur.
What?
I concur as well.
Am I the only one who likes this
You
movie?
are the only one.
What the hell, man?
It's Hellraiser meets aliens.
Okay.
And you don't like
Why
Hellraiser.
is that a bad thing?
Because
I've never
it didn't-
seen
it
Hellraiser.
didn't really do either one of those things well.
I disagree. The only thing I can
Okay.
say is like Sam Neill.
That's the guy who's never watched a Hellraiser movie.
It's a fact.
Well, fuck you.
Solid reason. I love your argument.
I have no response to that argument.
Winner.
Ding ding.
Kings to you. The only thing I could say is like Sam Neill, like as much as I love the dude, like he doesn't really pull off like horror all that well. Like that scene where he opens up the portal and like whatever happens and
Yeah.
he goes, ah, and he just like does that real flat scream.
I
was like, what is he doing right now?
I think Sam Neill really isn't that great of an actor. He just does the same thing in every one of his roles.
There's a lot of actors that do that.
Yeah,
he
but
just has to find the right
You
role.
just you have a dinosaur fetish, and he's.
Well, I
Mr.
also like
Dinosaur.
him in Red October. He's freaking good. He's really good
He
in that.
played Sam Neill.
Yeah.
He played Russian.
He
Sam.
played Russian Sam Neill. I'd like to go to Montana.
And who can forget his tour de force performance in Apple TV's Invasion?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That
The
12
one
minutes,
episode that he did.
That was such bullshit.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking Invasion. We gotta watch
I'm
season
never
2.
gonna recover.
Thanks, guys.
When is season 2 coming out of that freaking garbage show?
I know we need to get some views on our channel.
I know. We did really well with that
they
show
love that
because we
too.
just hated it so much. I want to make a shirt. I haven't done it yet, but I want to make a shirt with just a swimming astronaut.
I was going to ask you, when are you doing that?
in my spare
Dog
time.
battle through space.
Dog battle through space.
Well, I mean, they basically did that in this movie with Cooper. Remember where he's like, "I'm coming for you, motherfucker."
Well, no, but
Just, like uses his like air.
Yeah,
to, like,
he
fly through
purged.
space.
He purged his tank. He's like floating away in
Yeah.
space, and he's like, all right, hold on. I got to purge my tank. And he goes, and he flies, and he's like, I'm coming for you, motherfuckers.
Aerosol
Yeah.
can.
And then he shows up.
Hold on.
And he's like,
Oh, shit.
and then like they break the
window.
the window,
the cross.
in the cockpit.
Yeah, the very
And-
subtle.
and he's right there, and the explosion
Doesn't blow him away?
Well, it does blow him away, but somehow he like makes it back on.
and the explosion doesn't kill anybody else in there.
And also like so one of the funny things is like number one, it takes a really long time to depressurize that cabin. But second of all, Sam Neill keeps dying, and the ship keeps bringing him back.
Yeah. The ship won't let me die.
You know what would have been funny?
What's that?
Is if he had like shot himself through space and come back to the ship, and right that scene when he was supposed to save the day, if he had like missed and just kept on floating.
Just fell into the planet. Oh, shit.
I missed. Like just Mel Brooks shit. Like, oh shit.
You just there's a horror scene going on. You got Fishburne and Sam Neill like doing their back and forth, and in the window you just see Cooper go. "Ah!"
Turn it into a comedy, and I'm on board.
A horror comedy.
Yeah.
Trying to change his direction with his aerosol can.
And he's dog paddling.
Are we rewriting this?
We are.
No, he's got your little throat spray
Yeah.
bottle. He's like,
Powered by Chloroseptic.
yeah,
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
yeah, he's using that
Don't
to like
take
change
more,
direction.
dude.
I'm gonna be hitting that all day, dude. It's gonna be like half a bottle when we're done.
We got numb tongue.
Yeah.
You want something strong and black inside you?
No,
that was
I do not.
That was a great line. All right, let's do final thoughts. Give it a rating. For me, this is a 3-star movie. It's not perfect. You guys bring up some legitimate concerns. I'm not going to argue that, but I do have a weird fascination with this movie, and I think it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to give it 3 stars. Vader, how about you?
I agree.
Shit.
I don't agree with your score, but I agree with your assessment. It's an interesting movie. The weird thing about this week, and I was shocked myself, all 3 of these movies are first watches for me for some reason,
Me too.
and I don't know why.
They're right up your alley.
They're right up my alley.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've never seen. I think I might have seen one of them before, but I don't remember which one or when it was. But this movie's weird. It's aliens with Hellraiser, and and I don't feel like they quite got it right. And but again, like Sunshine, if you got 2 hours to kill and you want to just watch a weird sci-fi space movie in a ship with, not Cenobites and not aliens, watch this movie. Give it a watch because it's got a good cast. It's fun,
Jason Isaacs all splayed
yeah.
open on the
I
freaking
love
thing.
I mean,
Jason
Laurence
Isaacs.
Fishburne was good. He was. I mean, all the actors in this, they just do what they do. Laurence Fishburne was Laurence Fishburne, right? Sam Neill was Sam Neill.
Jason Isaacs was Jason Isaacs.
Yeah, it's really kind of funny how
Did you guys-
I don't feel like any of these guys really stretched their acting abilities in this, but it was still a fun, kind of interesting movie. I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick it down the middle. Just watch it, then don't worry about it anymore.
Real
That's
quick,
kind of where I'm
before we go to Jude, Stark, the blonde chick. Did you guys notice she was the only one who didn't seem to be affected throughout the whole movie by like the weird hell shit? She's always the one who's like the most composed.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I forgot she was even in this movie.
Yeah, well, because she doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Until she doesn't like have an effect, or she doesn't react to what's going on in the ship until the very end when she has that flash and she sees Sam Neill with the freaking helmet on.
Yeah, I felt like her entire character could have just completely been taken out, and her only thing to do in this movie was just to survive.
Yeah, it was weird. Like they forgot to write her a character.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you're an astronaut and your spaceship looks like it's a portal to hell, it probably is.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't get on it.
at least her role wasn't filled by Mila Jovovich.
That would have made it better.
Well, she would have drop kicked an alien
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
like that, and did like a spinning drop kick.
Strong female character.
don't you feel like this could like be inserted into the Alien Predator universe somewhere?
Probably.
I kind of feel like it could.
I think my favorite moment watching this movie is when the doctor is trying to get like the oxygen scrubbers to get off the ship.
Yeah.
And she sees like visions of like her kid running around, and Jude's just like yelling at the screen like full like movie
Don't
theater.
follow it.
Yeah, get out of there, bitch! What are you doing?
And she's got her backpack full of oxygen scrubbers, and she's running, and then she stops, and she turns around and sees her kid, and then she just walks towards
Immediately
it.
was like, no, bitch.
No,
bitch.
That's a freaking demon. Hello.
I did like the scene where they first came up to the dead ship and everything's in anti-gravity. Everything's just floating around, including all the blood and guts and oil and shit. And then when they kicked it in, it all just went splash. That was a really cool effect. And you're just like, ugh, just turn it back on. God damn. It was nasty.
Well, shouldn't that have all been frozen? I don't know. Anyway, Jude, final thoughts, give it a rating.
Okay, so this movie felt crazy long. Like, we started it one night, and then we both started kind of falling asleep on the couch. So we were like, we'll finish it tomorrow. There's only like 45 minutes left. And I felt like I had been watching the last 45 minutes of it for about 3 hours. And I will say I absolutely hated this movie. Wow. However, let me finish. Of the 3 movies we watched this week, I feel like this is the only one I could ever watch again, but it would have to be in the right circumstances. Like, it would have to be like we're making fun of it while we're watching it.
This is a bad movie with Tom kind of movie for you?
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of movie I would watch with Tom.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So I'm right there with you, V. I'm 2.5 hallucinations and orgy cannibal parties out of 5.
Okay. Kadish, final thoughts, give it a rating.
So, you know me, I can never give a Paul Stanky Anderson movie anything more than a 2.
Granted.
And, as far as Paul Stanky Anderson movies go, this movie, Soldier, and Mortal Kombat are probably like his most enjoyable ones. So, like, I remember seeing this in the theater, just walking out very disappointed. Like, at the time, I was like, oh, this guy, he's a young British filmmaker. He's up and coming. He's got like a cool style to him. I was excited to see it, and I was very much let down. And as time has gone on, I get more and more let down with each successive Paul W.S. Anderson movie. I've seen this movie so many times because, like, for whatever reason, I've had to like rewatch it over the course of the decades since it came out. And I think my favorite experience with it is watching Red Letter Media's review of it, where they kind of like talk about it. Because it is a movie that's fun to talk about, but it's not very fun for me to watch, particularly because it's just so gory. I don't like gore. Like, that's just a personal thing. I like the idea of like a haunted house spaceship type thing, haunted spaceship. And I feel like that premise could have been done far better than what we got in this movie. So yeah, it's 2 ripped eyeballs out of 5 for me. Like, that's the max I can give it for a Stanky Anderson film.
Okay. All right.
We're really got a high bar today.
Well, everything's a 2-star movie this week. Who knew? All right. That's it for Event Horizon. Comment below what you think of this movie. Is it a classic? Are you one of the people like me who's just addicted to Sam Neill? I don't know what's going on. The next movie on our list is...
Y'all got any of that Sam Neill?
Y'all got any more of that Sam Neill?
I don't understand your passing.
Hunt for the Wilder People, Jurassic Park, Hunt for Red October. Come on, bro.
The more movies you make me watch of his, the more I'm unimpressed.
He's in the first season of Peaky Blinders. He's like bad guy.
I've never watched that one.
I thought you watched Peaky
Blinders. No, I
Blinders.
did not watch Peaky Blinders.
Shit, bro.
I know I need to.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
You have to give me a break sometime so I can have some time to do it.
Oh my God. Cry me a river. All right. Next movie on our list is Pandorum. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you want to support us on the podcast and also wear some freaking dope shirts, go to saltynerdstore.com and grab some of our merch. It really is a great thing for us to see people wearing some of our stuff. We appreciate it very much, and we love getting those pictures. So a lot of people who buy our stuff send us pictures, and I love sharing it on Instagram. It's a lot of fun, and it goes a long way with word of mouth and stuff like that. If you're wearing one of our shirts and somebody comes up to you and say, hey, where'd you get that freaking dope-ass shirt? Be like, Salty Nerd Podcast. But yeah, saltynerdstore.com. All right. Oh, and type in salty for 10% at the checkout counter. That's important.
Yeah,
Make sure you save some money.
10% off.
10% off.
10% off?
10% off.
Just 10?
For the greater good. Okay. Jude.
Yes.
Take it away. Pandorum.
2009 Pandorum, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour, 48 minutes. This had a budget of $33 million.
That's it?
What do you think this brought into the box?
Holy shit. I thought this was going to be way more. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it made any money because I've only ever seen this on like a streaming platform. I don't remember this coming out. $28 million.
Okay. V?
34 million.
Broke even.
$20 million.
Yeah.
So all three of these movies lost money at the box office.
It's like the general audience isn't into creepy, weird sci-fi horror.
I would have went and seen this
and
if
that's
I
just
known.
really hard.
If I had known how weird this movie was, I probably wouldn't have went and seen this.
Would have?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a weird ass movie.
This is a weird ass movie.
This is fucking cool though. I love this movie.
It's my favorite movie of the week.
Okay. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right, take it away, G. What's the synopsis?
Okay. Dennis Quaid and Corporal Bauer wake up on a spaceship headed for planet Tanis. And while you were sleeping, shit went real wonky. Some of the passengers went full space cannibal. Some are sleeping, and most are dead. Bauer meets a group of survivors from previous space crews and teams up to figure out what went wrong on the mission. Bauer has to get to the ship's reactor to right the mission. But meanwhile, Dennis Quaid's gone full metal jacket, and who knew they stacked shit so high? He's got to save the ship by killing everyone aboard the ship, and also relive the memory of the last time he tried this, 900 plus years ago. Turns out, they crash landed on the ocean floor of Tanis a while ago, but kind of forgot. So Bauer blows a hole through the hull, triggering the emergency escape pods and really hoping those pods aren't full of man-eating space schizos. Discuss.
Did you see that twist coming?
That they were
already on the planet?
No. First watch, dude.
Yeah.
This movie was kind of cool. It wasn't good, but it was kind of cool.
So,
I don't know how to put the distinction between there, but it's like, some shenanigans are going on
right.
when the sleeper people, the colonists, noticed there was no donkeys on this ship anywhere.
Jesus Christ, dude.
They've mutated into another form of life.
Oh, the evolution
I'm going, okay, they've been doing this for about 1,000 years, probably. It's in my head canon.
Yeah.
They're doing some weird shit here, and it was interesting. It was like two different movies. It was like this weird kind of boxed in. I'm going to come out of the sleep and I'm going to figure things out, and we're going to wiggle through air ducts and everything. And then it started getting really goofy weird about halfway through it.
Yeah.
Dennis
I
Quaid,
agree. This is two different movies.
Yeah.
And that's one of the negatives that I found about it. So Dennis Quaid's story feels very separated from the rest of it. There's a dope ass freaking horror science fiction movie with them going through the bowels of the ship, and there's a certain group of people who have been awake for a long ass time, and they've evolved into some weird cannibalistic freaking
space zombie
golem type creatures.
People, yeah.
And I love that aspect of it. Dennis Quaid's story, I felt like they were oh, we got Dennis Quaid, now we have to do something with him. And they wrote this weird, mind-bendy part of the show. And that's my least favorite part.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid's the worst part of this
He's
movie.
the worst part of this movie, but I'm glad they have him.
Why?
Because I like Dennis Quaid.
See, I like Dennis Quaid too. I feel like Dennis Quaid's your Sam Neill.
Okay.
He's the same dude in every movie. But he's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Because he's Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
I just think they should have done something different with him. They should have made him more of a part of the major narrative.
Did it feel like he was kind of like a modern day Bruce Willis type of role with this movie?
Modern day Bruce Willis?
Yeah, it's like I'm going to show up for a couple of weeks and get paid, and because I don't think he wasn't in this movie very long.
I think they should have miniaturized him and injected him into Ben Foster.
Oh
Exactly.
That movie blows.
I mean, I feel like they could have filmed the parts of this movie that he was in probably fairly quickly, right?
Yeah.
They probably just had him for 3 or 4 days.
Right.
And just knocked out his stuff.
Which is thus my Bruce Willis.
That's kind of what it
comparison.
feels like.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bauer's story, the younger guy who goes off into the bowels of the ship, that is the best part of this movie. And I have a ton of fun with it. It's so cool.
The adventure through future human space weirdos, that's interesting.
Yeah. It was a lot of
But
fun.
that's a completely different kind of
It's
movie.
a totally different movie.
From the Dennis Quaid stuff.
Yeah.
It was
I also
very
like
strange.
I like the explanation for the mutant cannibal race, which is basically the humans on the ship. While they were in hyperstasis, they were being injected with this hormone or something like that was meant to prepare them to quickly adapt to the changes on the planet they were going to, planet Tanis. But when they were woken up over the course of hundreds of years, that chemical basically made them adapt to the environment of the ship, and that's what turned them into these monsters. And so there was an actual scientific explanation for it within the story, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. I agree. Jude, what are your thoughts on this movie?
Hated it.
What? Shocker.
Get
This
out
is
of
my
here.
least favorite of
Really?
the week. Yeah.
That's funny.
You like this less than
I sure
Sunshine?
do. Sure do.
Why?
Again, I thought it was boring.
She also hates Dennis Quaid.
I don't hate him. I just don't think I actually had to stop and be like, do I like him in anything? And the only thing I've ever liked him in is what is it called? Inner Space?
Yeah.
Inner Space.
That's a shit
and I
movie.
like went through his IMDb and I was like, this is the only movie that he's in that I actually like him in.
Wow.
I think I'm going to get a dog and name him Quaid.
Quaid, that's like a Total Recall.
Total Recall.
Total Recall.
You know, you have Jack Russell Terrier. I'm going to have Quaid, the
Kurt Russell Terrier.
Kurt Russell Terrier. I'm going to have a Quaid, the Rottweiler. It's a great name.
I would love him in Squeezy.
Let's just stick with the English Bulldog. I can't believe you didn't like this movie. I thought this would have been like at least something interesting for you.
Yeah.
That's
no.
weird. Wow. Huh. Wow. See, I did it again.
Yeah.
Did this movie need Owen Wilson in it?
Yeah.
He makes everything better.
He needed to be
Wow.
Bauer. Wouldn't it be funny if it would have been a comedy if Owen Wilson played Bauer?
Yeah,
and
Ben Foster's kind of like the serious Owen Wilson in a way.
I don't know, man. I really enjoy this movie.
I
love
enjoyed this movie too.
the cat and mouse game that they play in the bowels of the ship. Everything's so dark, and all they have is the flashlight. It's so creepy. And then they have like that. He's walking down the hallway, and he sees that dude just hanging there. And then he's like, "What's going on?" He looks up, and then he gets like, sucked into the rafters.
The whole switching back and forth between psychological thriller and action movie, though,
It's
very strange, right?
Yeah.
Am I not the only one that feels?
No,
that
you're
way?
totally right. That's why I say that's the biggest negative of this movie is that it's two different movies.
Yeah.
It didn't jive. I don't know. Kadish, what do you think about this film?
So first of all, I have to say that this movie was produced by Paul W.S. Anderson.
Is it really?
Yes.
I had no
yes.
idea.
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah. Did he put his initials on this one?
Yeah, yes. That's what it has his initials.
That's why I like it.
Stanky.
It's good. It's got some stank on it.
But I don't, so like he didn't have anything to do with the script. He didn't have anything to do with the direction. This is actually kind of like it's a German film. The director is German, the original writer is German. And it was originally planned to be like a super low budget feature. It was going to be shot for like $200,000 in an abandoned paper mill. And they never thought it was going to be like an actual like studio production. And Paul Stanky kind of came in and was like, hey, I like this script. Let's put some money behind it. And so he kind of fostered it into like a studio production, gave them like a big budget, and they ended up shooting it at like this like abandoned power plant in Germany or something like that. And this was supposed to be the first of a trilogy of films. Like, so like at the end of this movie, when they escape the ship and like they have 1,200 survivors with them, this was like meant to be the preamble. And then like there were going to be 2 more movies after this.
That's a streaming show I want to watch.
Yeah,
Let's see it.
But because of the disappointment at the box office, it never really got off the ground. I don't like Ben Foster. I mean, he was okay in this movie, but as an actor, like I've just never really cared for him.
That's a
that
guy
much.
who plays the same character in every movie. And
Ben
he's
Foster?
Yeah.
He's the poor man Aaron Paul for me.
Aaron Paul.
Jesse Pinkman?
Jesse
Shut
Pinkman.
up, bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Science, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are you doing, bitch?
He always plays kind of a crazy character, though, especially in Westerns. When he's a cowboy.
Ben Foster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He plays-
He was in 6 Feet Under too, right? He was a creepy boyfriend in that.
Maybe.
He was also the worst part of the Warcraft movie. I thought
Seriously?
he was like very miscast. In
He
that
was the
movie.
wizard,
You know what?
right?
Honestly,
Yeah.
anyone who's in the Warcraft movie, automatic thumbs down for me. I hate that movie.
There's no bad parts of the Warcraft. movie.
Ragnar Lothbrok?
Come on.
Come on. You don't like him in that movie?
I had my first panic attack after watching that movie.
That movie made me weirdly horny for orcs. That orc lady was
He'll
like,
do it.
"Whoo,
It's
baby."
like, oh, what are you gonna do with those molars, those canines you got there? How you doing? Corona.
Right?
But so like I actually I'm with Vader. This was my favorite movie of the week. It's the most enjoyable. It's got a good mystery to it, and I also need to point out that Antje Traue, who plays Nadia in the movie, the one woman who's in it, is freaking hot as hell.
Yep.
And every time she was on screen, I was like, I just want to be watching her.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at Kadish's notes right now, and it says her name, and it says in parentheses, hot chick.
But she was a German actress who had worked with the director of this movie before, And in fact, we get a little Norman Reedus cameo in this movie from the guy from The Walking Dead. And the reason he's in this movie is because the director's previous movie he had worked with Norman Reedus on, and Reedus was like, "Oh, hey, you got a part for me in your new movie?" And the guy was like, "I think I can fit you in there." So that was a fun little Easter egg that we saw him, because at the time, like Norman Reedus, like I think he'd maybe done Boondock Saints, and that was about it. And he was kind of an unknown. But overall, like I really like the story of this movie. I thought it was a very clever film. I thought it was well shot. I was entertained. I've seen this movie like a couple times beforehand, so I kind of knew what to expect. And I thought that the reveal at the end was like a good twist when I first saw it. Yeah. So like it was good. Like I said, it was out of the 3 movies we watched this week, this one I thought was the most entertaining.
One of my favorite scenes is when they're getting chased by like the creepy mole people or whatever from the spaceship, and they're going through the cold storage area, and like one of them pops up and opens, and the dude just wakes up, and all of a sudden he just starts getting eaten.
I felt bad about that.
And then the dude, the big bad freaking zombie dude, like gets on top and like skewers him through the head. It was so brutal. I was like, holy shit, dude.
The cannibal kid.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Cannibal. Oh, the little tiny baby one? Super creepy.
Super creepy.
With like the weird pale skin.
Throat.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh.
Yeah, this movie.
Yeah, they didn't hold back. No. I mean, this movie.
It's rated R for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
I like the design of the cannibal zombie, whatever. What are they called? Do they have a name in this movie?
They're mole people.
I guess.
They're like Gollum. Like a bunch of people who spend way too much time in the dark.
Was there like a name in the production for them? What are they called? Like, what were they called in like Starlog magazine or something?
I don't know.
You see what the IMDb says.
I'm just really curious what they're supposed to be. It's just mutants, I guess. So.
Yeah. Well, evolved humans. I don't know what it is. But anyway, I agree. I think the twist ending that they're actually already on the planet. They've just been underground or under the water for 100 years or whatever.
They just call them hunters.
Hunters?
Yeah.
Okay. Is super cool. And I will agree that if there was like a sequel to this, which I still think there should be, because there's plenty of like original sci-fi to kind of draw from.
Does this thing have a cult following?
Yeah, so like there's actually like a Facebook group that is very active, and the writer and director of the movie have joined it. And it's called Fans for a Pandorum Sequel, and like they're trying to drum up support.
I'm going to go join that group.
I'm in.
I am not in.
Give me more. Can you imagine like a sequel would be like, okay, so they're on the planet.
It's like, we're going to make a sequel to this terrible movie that nobody watched.
The humans, the normal humans who come out of cryo, they're already like, okay, we're on the planet. Cool. Let's go start a civilization. And then once the sun goes down, which this planet's going to have like 3 suns. So like night's going to come around like every 6 months. Every 6 months, the creepy mole people are going to come out.
Black rules?
Yeah, pitch black rules.
Yeah, but all the hunters were down in the ship.
But they're going to get out because they blew a hole through the.
But that was all the people that were in cryo. That were still in.
No,
the
the way they got the ejection ports to come is they blew a hole through the hull, so the hunters can get out of the ship.
I thought they launched all the cryo tubes out through like their.
Yeah, that was
so Vader's correct. So basically, all the cryo tubes have like an ejection module. So like the cryo tubes can be ejected from the ship. But what happened with the hunters is that basically the ship flooded and drowned all of them.
No, they survived.
They're alive too.
Yeah.
It's just part of the ship.
I think they have special sea breathing powers.
Yeah, something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
I don't understand like they keep meeting people from other missions, but they're on the same ship. I don't get that.
Because the journey to get from point A to point B was going to be over a long ass time. I don't remember how many years it was, but it's going to be generations worth. So it was
going to be like 8 years, I think.
No, it was more than that.
No, it was
way more than that.
So there was
5 different crews.
Yeah, and
each one rotates into so that they all don't age, a decade or to the point where they're too old to do anything.
So
like crew one
just goes into cryo?
Yeah. So crew one is on the flight deck for let's just say 2 years. And then they wake up crew 2 and then they go into cryo. Crew 2 flies it for the next 2 years and they just keep rotating.
And they wake up crew 3, then crew 4,
and then they think there's 5 crews total. And then that one crew that woke up was the lady and then the dude from The Walking Dead. They were part of like crew 3 or something.
Yeah, what they got a dispatch back from Earth that said you're the last. Earth is dead.
Yeah.
Nuclear war or something bad happened.
Yeah.
It's like you're our last hope. And then they went a little crazy and some bad shit started happening.
Okay.
And,
I kept thinking of it like how the Icarus. They sent one, it failed. They sent another one. And I was like, well, how are they all on the same ship right now?
No, it's a
okay. Now I get it.
It's a generational thing. It's
I
just
still hate it.
Yeah, it was basically a colony ship. So they had 5,000 people on the ship when it launched, and the flight crews would rotate out after a couple years, and the girl in the movie, she was like one of the botany teams. Like she was meant to like help repopulate Tanis with like Earth plants and animals and
they
insects. They
tattoo everyone with their job.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Cook, because they had amnesia issues when they come out of cryo, so that stuff on their, they could probably like
remember
go to a computer and scan their arm, let them fill them all in, and it's like I want to know where the bonnets and covered wagons section part
Jesus
the ship was.
Why are you so salty about Firefly?
I don't know. If they're going out and terraforming a planet, I want to know where this stuff is. Where the muskets at, and the four wheelers. I really want to know where the four wheelers from 1992 are stored. So yeah.
How about that creepy cannibal guy that they meet?
Oh yeah, the one who's got his own little home.
The one who's the chef.
Yeah.
He was the
Yeah, that is super creepy.
He's like, I'm gonna feed you.
You gotta open up a pod.
Does he poison them?
Immediately, I was like, he's gonna eat you.
Yeah.
well, no. What was interesting about that scene is so like he cooks them up this stuff and he like gives them like these mugs of soup basically, and none of them trust him, so they're like we're not gonna eat this. And then like he ends up gassing them to knock them out because like the food was meant to be a distraction to like put them at ease. They're like, oh, I'm not going to eat this, and then they like pass out, and he like has them strung up, and he's like, I'm going to eat you. Yeah.
Is there a compartment on the ship full of Chevy Tahoes and Jeep Wranglers?
Yes, I see JT in the JT's in the chat right now saying they have Tahoes.
Yeah,
Tahoes.
Yeah.
Oh,
would an engine mechanic be a person that you would want to have come along?
Some kind of a mechanic, yeah.
A mechanical
space engineer.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that there were mules in one of those like
embryo
pods.
So they could birth them, and then they would have beasts of burden.
What about like kangaroos?
Sure.
And bulldogs.
Penguins. Did you take penguins?
Bulldogs are an evolutionary mistake, Jude.
I'm aware.
It was basically Noah's Ark, basically.
Yeah.
Like they had everything on there.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I guess that's it. I'll do final thoughts. I have a hell of a good time with this movie. This is my, I think, third time watching it over the course of a couple of years. Once I discovered it, I watched it, and I was like, that was weird.
Yeah.
And I liked it. So this is like my third watch or whatever. I was super stoked. When I kind of came up with this theme for this week, it was like sci-fi horror. This one was the first movie that came to my mind. I was like, yeah, let's do that one. That was cool. Freaking space zombies and shit. I'm going to give it a solid 3.5. It's good, fun, interesting, unique sci-fi that's not really kind of ripping any one thing off. It's just it's very of its own, and I like that. And I do want to see a sequel. I want to see them get off the ship. I want to see them have a war between the normal humans and like the hyper evolved humans, and they go at it. And show me that.
Maybe they'll evolve into like space Vikings.
That'd be dope.
That'd be really cool. Right?
Freaking axes and shit.
Yeah,
long beards.
And
they're basically orcs.
Yeah, they're basically orcs. Yeah. Goblins. I'm right there with you, dude.
It's 3.5.
I'm right. No.
Oh,
I'm close.
Okay.
But I'm a half a point underneath you all day, I think, today.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a 3.
Okay.
It's my favorite movie of the week. Absolutely I had no idea what this was about when I got into it. And what it turned into, I thoroughly enjoyed. It doesn't have the rewatchability factor, I don't think, for me. I could probably watch it again and still enjoy it.
In a couple years,
in a couple years.
When you forget.
Yeah. It's like, all right, space. I love that you said they're orcs, because they are. They're orcs.
Yeah,
they're space orcs. That's a perfect analogy for me. I would like to see a sequel or a streaming series, just like some silly little 8 episode thing, see what happens, and put it on Apple TV or Paramount Plus. Or this looks like
not Paramount.
Hulu or Paramount? Is this a Hulu or a Paramount thing? Where do you think it would go?
Who owns Hulu? Disney.
Disney? Probably Paramount Plus.
Yeah, but they'd copyright us if we talked about it.
I know, those dickheads. But 3 stars for me. Fun movie. I love Dennis Quaid, even though he wasn't in it very much. Space orcs. I'm in. Yeah,
cool.
It's good stuff.
All right, Jude. Is this a 1-star crap fest?
This is a 1-star crap
Get
fest.
out of here. You are.
Give it 1 space orc out of 5 space orcs.
Damn.
I hated everything about it. I will never watch it again. I think that the big budget is what killed it for me. Like, I think if it had had a smaller budget and was campy, I would have been totally into this. But I just wasn't. Nothing connected for me. And this is just my own personal opinion. You are totally allowed to love it as much as you want. So please don't come for me. But I hated it so much. I thought it was boring. I hated Dennis Quaid the whole movie. Like him just acting by himself with a camera and just like furrowing his brow and then unfurrowing his brow was the whole movie. It was so stupid. And like even the twist at the end, I was like, whatever. Hate it.
Wow. That's powerful. 1-star crap fest from Jude. All right. Kadish, final thoughts. Give it a rating.
So I feel like this is a very entertaining movie. It's very well made. My rating for the movie is definitely like 3 stars, but because of Paul W.S. Anderson's involvement, I have to knock it down a star. So this is going to be a 2-star movie for me.
It's got too much stank on it.
Got too much stank. Yeah, but like the stank is real, even though like it's less stanky than most stanky movies. So yeah, 2 stanks out of 5.
Oh man! All right, guys, that's it for Sci-Fi Horror Week. Let us know what your favorite sci-fi horror movie is and what we can talk about next. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching it. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. Give us a thumbs up. And yeah, Vader, where can they find you on the socials?
You can find me at MattVader74 on mostly Twitter and here on our YouTube channel on Saturday mornings with Mr. Kadish and our panel as we talk about Star Trek shows. And I'm also on the other things. Just search for me out there, but mostly Twitter.
Cool. Jude?
You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram and on TikTok. And I just want to say we have the live chat going right now. And R2 said, I think he heard space sci-fi horrors instead of orcs. And he said, I heard sci-fi horrors. That is a genre on Cinemax. It just cracked me up.
What's up, R2? Oh, did you say where you can find you?
I sure did.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Kadish, you're next. Go ahead.
All right, you can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter. KadishBooks.com takes you to our Amazon page. And I'm looking forward to next week. I think
what is
that
next
should
week?
be interesting because it's the week I picked.
Oh.
It's human sim movies. Where?
Okay, yeah.
So let me hold on. Surrogates with his Bruce Willis. Gamer, which is Gerard Butler. Did I say his name right? Yeah. And then Ready Player One. That will be fun. I like 2 out of those 3 movies. All right. Tune in next week for human sim movies. Thanks for watching, guys.
I just keep hearing human centipede.
Yeah.
Every time you start to say
I
that.
got PTSD for that one too. Yeah, for sure. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Stay salty.